Shrike and Feirros are here.
Spiky bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Baer from SpikyBits.com, and we are gonna unbox and build the latest Primaris special characters. Of course, we got Shrike, newly appointed Chapter Master Shrike from the what was that, Kalyan and Monka saga back in 2016, I guess. And we got Malkaan guy Feirros, new Iron Father for the Iron Hand. So both of these models look, well, they're big. They're a lot bigger than before. They're both $40 US, and they're kicking off the second wave of new Space Marine reinforcements for Warhammer 40k. Of course, we know already that Fists and Salamanders are down the line, probably in another month or so. But today we got these guys, so let's dig in. So first up is going to be Shrike. Like I said, he's $40 US, and he's going to come on a larger sprue here than what we've seen in the past. Doesn't have the little plastic black slide out, but that's okay. We don't 100% need that. You're going to get an instruction book, 40 mil base, and then the sprue itself, which is about the size of two of the normal little sprues that came staggered in that plastic container case anyway. So let's take a look at the instructions here and kind of see what exactly is happening. And well, as you would expect, it is the computer slice kind of configuration. Now, it doesn't have the separate pauldrons on the front of the legs right here, so it makes it a little bit easier to kind of put together. Also, not an option for the non-helmeted head, because it's going to come with the helmet right there on his hip. So you kind of have to, unless you have an alternate head or a beaky or something pretty extravagant that you want, which you could switch out, but then you would have to switch out what is on his hip, which we'll take a look at here in a second. And then, of course, he's got the Raven Talons. Now, something I did notice from the old Shrike model, the old Shrike model has 4 talons. These Raven Talons only have 3 talons, kind of like, Vega from Street Fighter, or Wolverine, I guess, from Marvel kind of saga there. So kind of interesting that they switched it up, his war gear and such. And then, of course, he's got the grab chute on the back. There's the other Raven Talon, and he's got his blackout plasma pistol, or excuse me, melta pistol there. And something that, it's kind of hard to notice from all the pictures, but he's got these little flip down kind of pinions that if he wasn't in this pose, these would, in theory, kind of flip down. Also, it looks like his claws would extend too. But I mean, as far as that goes, it looks like everything else just goes together here. He's got a lot of wings going on, separate thrusters, and whatever these are in the front, I can't really tell. But these things right here, I don't really know what those are. And then he goes on top of this battlement, and there's a little support piece right there. So I guess the whole thing just kind of doesn't fall over. And then they give you ideas on how to paint him as well. And there's his data sheet. And remember, his warlord trait is the no overwatch. I think it's called Shadow Master. I believe it's 130 points, if I'm not mistaken, or 110. I forget which one was which between him and the Iron Hands guy. And then, of course, he gets the additional benefits, the doctrine abilities, when a certain doctrine is in play. So, there's a lot more rules to actually go through and kind of check out. And there's reroll to charge. There's a lot of other stratagems too in play here too that you can definitely play on him. So just kind of keep that in mind, that these aren't exactly all his rules, and you're probably going to need the codex. And not only do you need the codex, but to get the chapter traits, you also need the main Space Marine codex. But I'm sure if instead of buying it for just that, just get the picture of it, and you're good to go there as far as that goes. So let's get him built up and kind of take a closer look at him, see if there's any real options to maybe switching him up, and just kind of how tall he is too. So here he is, all built up, and well, he is pretty tall. You can tell from the 40 mil base here. He's kind of, I think he's taller than Robbie G, to be quite honest. But I mean, style wise, I think he looks pretty cool. Now, I don't know if you'd be modeling for advantage if you wanted to cut this off right here and just mount that to the bottom right there. Somebody might call you out. I feel like you're being unfair. I don't know. I really personally don't like the height of this model right here, but it'll make them harder to hide and sort of thing. So maybe that's what GW had intended. Model wise and style wise, I think he looks great, with all the different pouches and grenades and stuff. But like I said, remember, he has, and these look very straightforward and computer animated, but they're pretty resilient. Not like the old lightning claws. And actually, speaking of which, here's the old Shrike right here looking up at the new Shrike. And yep, indeed, he did have 4 claws. Now he has 3. and he wasn't quite as, you know, crazy styled. He does have that very cool beaky helm right there, which he has looked to have kept in his promotion for the most part over to Chapter Master, but the backpack obviously got a lot more cooler as far as that goes. Now, mold lines and gaps. Your mold lines are going to be on the front here because they do a really good job of kind of hiding everything underneath, and you can see there's even a seam in his butt right there. His beehole has a seam crack, go figure. But you know, you can switch the head out if you don't like the head. You can definitely do that. You can switch the pad out right here. You can even trim this feather off if you really wanted to. But other than that, there really isn't any other customization options. Now, how does he compare to, well, let's see, Robbie G? Well, he is almost as taller than Robbie G with his sword deployed right there. And just a normal Primaris, he obviously is a little bit taller because of that. And then I guess he's about the same size as a normal Primaris Marine right there. So a very cool model, $40 US. You can of course always get yours for less over at Miniature Market as well. Next up is Malkaan guy Feirros. This guy has been on everybody's mind, I suppose, since May-ish when they first showcased him, and he is super chunky as well. I got that big sprue, 40 mil base, instruction manual right there. And once you get into it, I mean, look at that staff right there. Was it the Harrow sword or something? I forget what they call it. But man, he's all sorts of beefcake. So assembly wise, he is going to have the separate pauldrons on the front of his legs or greaves or whatever you want to call them. So it's going to be a little bit more to his assembly there. I really like this kind of dynamic looking front plate right here with all the power cables and such, and that Harrow hand, that's the name of his stupidly big axe. Now you could switch out pads, you can switch out his head, because remember Primaris, all the normal Space Marine stuff works right there. And then there's his ammo feed that goes up. And just like we saw with Shrike, with those kind of very computer animated, straightforward, but yet sturdy talons, you're also going to see that with this feed right here as we get over there. So again, the smaller parts that would easily break off, and here I'm looking at you, Deathwatch antennas on top of all the helmets that always break as soon as I grab the first guy. I really like how they did the due diligence here with making these parts appear to actually be able to take a little stress on them, so you're not spending $40 on a dude and then he just snaps. Again, right here, there's that ridiculously oversized ammo belt that looks very static and very I mean, it makes sense. It's got a little bit of a snap or a wave to it, but it also looks very sturdy too, which I appreciate, because nobody likes their stuff breaking and then having to fix it. Even this little ammo power feed, I guess it is, it looks very sturdy as well. So pretty much seems a very straightforward design, but his hand is on the axe separately as well, which I just forgot to mention. So hey, let's jump into it and kind of see what it's all about. And boom goes the dynamite. So here is the model, and well, when you compare him to Shrike, he's definitely a little bit girthier, so to speak, but not quite as tall, because, well, he's not standing on a fortification right there. But I mean, as far as the model itself goes, it goes together pretty well. I mean, it's a little somewhat complicated. There's a lot of parts to it, and there's, you know, I'm seeing mold lines in this picture here, you know, just because there's a lot of different planes here that the mold lines are going to hide on, but they hide the gaps. Unfortunately, that means that the mold lines are exposed. Bom, bom, bom. But, you know, you just got to look. There's just more surfaces to check out. So that's the best advice I can give you right there. Pose-wise, I think it looks good. There's not going to be a whole lot of conversion potential here besides the head and the shoulder pad, like I said earlier, just because, well, that's just the way he's designed right there. Up here, it seems to wiggle a little bit on the claw, but everything else seems to be pretty sturdy, like I was saying earlier. And I'm pretty happy with that, you know, just so you don't accidentally break anything. Now, something I forgot to mention earlier about when you're assembling this, if you have a bunch of seams or gaps or anything, like in capes and feed lines and different things, you can always use some of the super thin Tomaya cement that does a really good job on this stuff. Or if you have some glaring gaps, Vallejo plastic putty is great to work too. I'll put some links in the description below and also the comments. And then if you're trying to build up a base and you want it kind of thicker, this resin sand stuff works really good from Liquitex. I'll put a link in there as well, just to kind of put all over the base if you're not using any of the GW texture paint, which would technically save you a step. but it doesn't dry quite as bulky as the resin sand. So I kind of like that stuff. So I think it would work good for both of these, and probably the Lieutenant as well, which we're gonna hit up next along with the Eliminator model. So again, both of these are $40 US. You can get yours for less from miniaturemarket.com, of course. Great place to scoop up all your hobby supplies and Warhammer GW models as well. So that pretty much is, well, let's compare it. Hold on, let's compare it to Robbie G. Boom. And so he's definitely almost as tall. Well, not quite, but he's getting there. Normal Primaris, there's a Infiltrator, so he's definitely taller than a normal Primaris duder. And I think that's all. Well, we can do a Guardsman. There's a Guardsman, so definitely scaled about right where you need to be. So that is it for this one. I think 2 great characters, and of course, definitely looking forward to the next 2 for Imperial Fist, as well as the Salamanders too. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on all our future unbox and build videos.